Let's go Ravens. The week has been busy behind the scenes, and now we need to prepare for the next matchup, which will be on the 17th against the Steelers. Coach John Harbaugh is confident, but we need to address an important point in the roster: the Ravens' defense. I'll give you all the updates, but first I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Ravens have the ability to beat the Steelers next Sunday? If so, hit the like button hard. If not, hit the dislike button. If possible, comment like this: Go Ravens! Let's beat the Steelers. Despite the last win over the Bengals, we need to strengthen our defense as soon as possible. Let's analyze what everyone is talking about right now, starting with the defense. After a strong start to the season, the Ravens have struggled defensively, and there's one name on everyone's mind: defensive coordinator Zach Orr. Many are wondering if it's time to reevaluate his role. Last year, the Ravens' defense was among the best in the league, especially against the pass. This year, they're near the bottom, with a pass defense that ranks near the worst in the NFL. Losing key players like Patrick Queen, Geno Stone, and Jadeveon Clowney certainly hasn't helped, but should that alone be enough to drop the team so drastically in the defensive rankings? Fans are questioning whether Orr's defensive schemes are holding up under pressure, and whether that's a personnel or a scheme issue. Speaking of pressure, let's talk about Lamar Jackson. He's having an MVP-worthy season, and his performance Thursday night against the Bengals was another chapter in what could be a fairy tale year for him. Statistically, he's outperforming last season, and his leadership on the field is undeniable. But here's the thing: as electric as Lamar is, how sustainable is it to have him carrying this team on his back every week? If the Ravens continue to rely on him to dig them out of defensive holes, especially come playoff time, it's going to get tough. Jackson can't do it all, and expecting him to continue putting up MVP-level performances every game without defensive support is risky. So where does this leave the Ravens' playoff hopes? Sitting at 7-3, they're in a solid position, but the battle within the AFC North is anything but easy. The Pittsburgh Steelers are still very much in the mix, and let's not forget they swept the Ravens last season despite having a weaker team. To stay competitive for a division win and secure home field advantage, the Ravens need every win they can get, and they'll have to bring their A-game, especially with a few tough matchups still left on the schedule. And it's not just about getting into the playoffs. It's about making a real postseason run, and right now, the biggest question mark around the Ravens is their secondary. Injuries have been a constant challenge, with the latest being safety Kyle Hamilton's ankle sprain. While Coach John Harbaugh assured fans it's not too serious, Hamilton's absence would be a big blow to a secondary already facing its share of struggles. In fact, Hamilton has arguably been the best player in the Ravens secondary this season. Losing him, even for just a game or two, only makes things harder for an already vulnerable defense. It's a difficult reality. Without more depth or immediate fixes, Harbaugh is largely relying on the players he has to step up. But is that enough for the playoffs? Which leads to another point fans have raised: why wasn't more done to address the secondary before the trade deadline? Sure, the team added Trenton Thompson, but he hasn't played much yet, and so far it doesn't seem like he'll be the game changer some fans hoped for. Coach Harbaugh has been known for his "we like our guys" approach, but this season, it's clear that the secondary needs a little more than just team spirit. Every week, the defense's inconsistency raises questions about whether they can hold up when it matters most, and right now, the answer is uncertain. On a brighter note, one of the highlights for the Ravens this season has been the continued dominance of tight end Mark Andrews. Although he's competing with other elite tight ends around the league, Andrews is proving to be the perfect fit for Lamar Jackson's style. Since Week 4, he's been a crucial part of the Ravens' offense, shutting down any early season trade rumors and showing just how vital he is to Baltimore. While some fans may still argue that George Kittle or Travis Kelce could be a step ahead, Andrews is exactly what the Ravens need, and he's performing like a top-tier player week in and week out.
Looking ahead, the team's schedule is anything but easy, and fans are already speculating about the final record. Based on the remaining games, a realistic outcome seems to be around 11-6 or even 12-5, assuming the Ravens can avoid any more major setbacks. Key matchups against the Steelers, Eagles, and Texans are looming, and these games will be critical in determining where the Ravens end up in the postseason bracket. While the Ravens are on track for the playoffs, just making it isn't enough. They'll need to build a stronger, more balanced approach if they want to be serious contenders. contenders. So now, it's your turn, Ravens flock. With so many issues up in the air, how confident are you in this team's ability to go deep into the playoffs? Do you think the defense can step up in time, or should there be more accountability on the coaching side? And what's your prediction for their final record? Let us know in the comments below. Mike Tomlin's recent comments have sparked plenty of buzz across Ravens Nation, and as we get closer to the anticipated matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the stakes couldn't feel higher. After the Steelers win over the Commanders, Tomlin was asked about Lamar Jackson and young quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels. Tomlin's response was quick and pointed. Be real slow comparing people to Lamar Jackson. That's a multi-time MVP. That's Mr. Jackson. Ravens fans know how rare it is for Tomlin to give this kind of public praise to a rival player, especially a player he faces twice a season in the league's fiercest rivalry. For Tomlin to call Lamar Mr. Jackson adds a layer of respect we don't often see across enemy lines. But what does it mean? Is Tomlin buttering up Lamar Jackson as a strategic play, or is he genuinely tipping his hat to one of the most electrifying players in the NFL? It's clear that Tomlin's comments have created waves across the league. Given that Pittsburgh is neck and neck with Baltimore in the AFC North standings, currently at 7-2, while the Ravens sit just behind at 7-3, this recognition could be seen as a strategic psychological move to rattle the Ravens' cage. After all, Tomlin is no stranger to playing mental games, especially as we get closer to matchups that could define the division. But this time, it feels different, almost as if Tomlin himself is in awe of Jackson's dominance and versatility. Jackson has evolved tremendously since his rookie year, mastering the balance between his arm and his legs in ways that make him, as Tomlin implies, one of one, a player who doesn't really fit into any mold. For Ravens fans, this is about more than just stats. Lamar's MVP case is undeniable. Despite some fans and media members favoring Jared Goff in the MVP conversation before Week 10, Goff's 5-interception performance in prime time pretty much handed the race over to Lamar on a silver platter. The Ravens' Week 10 victory over a fierce division rival in prime time not only demonstrated Jackson's leadership, but also solidified his case for his third MVP title. It's not just about touchdowns and stats. It's about how he lifts the team when it counts most. His ability to stay calm under pressure, come back from behind, and lead his squad in high-stakes games speaks volumes. And right now, Lamar is outplaying almost every other quarterback in the league, including Goff, who was considered a frontrunner just a few short weeks ago. As for Tomlin's comments, they're adding fuel to an already blazing fire of excitement for the upcoming Ravens-Steelers showdown. Ravens fans know the history. They've seen this rivalry at its peak with names like Ray Lewis and Troy Polamalu, Joe Flacco and Ben Roethlisberger, Terrell Suggs and Hines Ward. It's a rivalry built on mutual respect and unfiltered animosity, and with both teams on top of the division, this next matchup could be one of the best in recent years. Tomlin and Harbaugh, both of whom have been with their respective teams for over a decade, know what's at stake here. Every game matters, but in a tight division like the AFC North, divisional games are practically playoff games. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think of Tomlin's comments? Is he genuinely respecting Lamar's talents, or is this some pregame mind game to rattle our MVP? Leave your thoughts below, and let's gear up for what promises to be an epic Ravens-Steelers clash.